Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Hope everyone is doing well on this Tuesday morning. We've got a massive show to bring you guys today. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're very, very close to 21,000 subscribers. So if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe and let's achieve that next milestone. On the show this morning, we're going to be reacting to a story saying that apparently a shock club in Saudi Arabia are lining up a January offer for Casemiro. We'll also be talking about Sir Jim's 300 million budget plan for when he comes into Manchester United. And we'll also be reacting and having a bit of a conversation around this story that broke last night from Sky Sports saying that they've received information that apparently Erik ten Hag has lost over 50% of the Manchester United dressing room. Lots and lots to get into on the show this morning. It feels like it's all happening at the moment with Manchester United. The drama is everywhere, as always. The drama is happening. So let's start off with this story about Casemiro then. Let's focus on some more football-related stuff before we go into the managerial-focused topics. So this is coming out from 2 or 3 different journalists this morning, and they're reporting that Al Hilal are looking to put in a January offer for Casemiro. I'm just trying to remind myself who plays for Al Hilal. Is that where Neymar plays? I think it might be. Yeah, it is. It's where Neymar is. So they had a really, really big summer window, didn't they, Al Hilal? They got Koulibaly from Chelsea. They got that Bono guy who was playing in La Liga. They got Ruben Neves, Neymar, Malcolm, Mitrovic. They got some really good players, to be fair. They got, 6 or 7 decent players. And they got Milinkovic Savic as well. Wow. I'm not even trying to be dramatic here, but their first team, Ruben Neves, Milinkovic Savic, Neymar, Mitrovic, Malcolm, Koulibaly, Bono, they'd probably give Manchester United a good game, to be fair. They're also sitting top of the Saudi league at the moment, 7 points clear of Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr. The headline this morning is that apparently they're going to come in for Casemiro in the January window. Now, I want you guys to let me know what your thoughts are on this. Do you think Casemiro should go? Obviously, he's injured at the moment, but he is expected to be back, I think, at the beginning of January. It's a really hard one for me to say because, should Casemiro be sold and then McTominay play every single week? No. Should Casemiro be sold and be replaced by somebody in their early 20s? Maybe. It's a bit of a difficult... it's a bit of a difficult answer. Sorry, it's a bit of a difficult question to answer, isn't it? Because it's very hard to define what Manchester United will decide to do. If they got 50 million for him and they went and spent that money wisely on somebody else, I would be quite open to it. But if, it meant, we'll buy someone in the summer or we'll do this or we'll do that. There's so many ifs and buts. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Would you sell Casemiro to Al Hilal in the January window? Richard says Casemiro has unfortunately been off it all season. It's no particular loss. I would agree with you, to be honest. And I think as well, the thing with Casemiro is, right, he's on £350,000 a week, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, at Real Madrid, he earned half of that, but Manchester United stupidly decided that they'd give him double what he earned at Real Madrid. He's earning £15.5 million per season. At Real Madrid, he was earning around 150,000 a week. At United, he earns over 300. I mean, it just sums it up for me, doesn't it? He does still, however, have 3 years left of his contract, so we do still retain some value in Casemiro, which is, of course, good. I would be looking for at least 50 million for Casemiro in January. I think he is 31 years of age. He's probably got 4, maybe 5 years left of him at the top in Saudi football anyway. 5 Champions Leagues. He's won everything in world football, hasn't he? We paid 70 million euros, which I think is about 65 million pounds. So I think you want at least 50 million pounds there, don't you? Which would ultimately mean you paid 15 million for Casemiro for 1.5 seasons, which is okay. If we were to lose Casemiro, I would be looking at Benfica's João Neves. He is the real deal. That's the kind of player that I'd want to replace him with, and then you could literally see that João Neves and Kobe Mainoo would be our future midfield for the next 10 plus years. And at that point, I would get rid of Scott McTominay. I'm sick. We'll talk about the manager in a minute, but I'm sick of all of these players throwing managers under the bus, right? McTominay's been there since Mourinho's days. Rashford has. Luke Shaw has. All of these types of players, okay, that are supposedly throwing the manager under the bus. They throw Mourinho under the bus. They throw Oli under the bus. Some of them even threw Van Hal under the bus, you know? So I think we need a complete refresh. We need a reset. And if it means that we have to sell people like Casemiro in order to fund that reset, then that's what will have to happen, you know? If someone said to me you could keep Casemiro and also get Joao Neves from Benfica, I would say keep him, of course, because he's experienced. He's definitely probably our best, if not one of our best midfielders. And the thought of selling him, but yet having to keep Scott McTominay makes me feel sick, to be completely honest with you. It does, because Scott McTominay is good going forward, but in a defensive midfield role, he's absolutely hopeless. Let's be very honest here, okay? I know I'm not trying to be harsh, but he is absolutely terrible when he has to play in a defensive midfielder position, and that's obviously where Casemiro plays. Yes, Kobe Mainoo's coming through, but he's, 18? You can't be relying on Kobe Mainoo to be our saving grace to win us every single game in the midfield. He's not going to be able to do that at the age of 18 when he's being paired with McTominay. Like, we saw Casemiro struggling alongside McTominay, and Casemiro is one of, if not the best defensive midfielders in the world. So, you know, how do we expect this 18-year-old Kobe Mainoo to be able to play next to somebody who is ultimately like playing with 10 men when McTominay plays? It is. So yeah, for me, it's a difficult one until we know exactly what Manchester United plan. I think it's hard to say, but I will say this. If a big offer comes in, you know, £50 million, I would take it, to be honest, for Casemiro. I think, you know, you're saving then £15 million plus a year in wages, and you've got 50 million going back into the bank. David says, only if he is replaced. We can't rely on sideways, obviously McTominay, or Kobe Mainoo to carry the load. 100% agree with you, mate. Joel says, sell Casemiro as long as you replace him with someone of an equal caliber. I agree with you, mate. Yeah, for me, it will be Joao Neves, 19 years of age, playing absolutely unbelievable for Benfica at the moment. Already broken into the Portuguese national team at the age of 19. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. Playing as a defensive midfielder for Portugal at the age of 19. That's the kind of player we need to be looking at. Obviously, him paired with Kobe Mainoo. That's your midfield for the next 10 plus years. I'm telling you, this guy will be one of the best defensive midfielders in the next couple of years. He does have a big release clause, though, which is always the case with Benfica players. They always know how to get the most money. He's got a release clause of €100 million, which is what, £90 million maybe? Let's have a look. How much is that in pounds? £85 million. I mean, if you were to get 50 million for Casemiro and sell McTominay for 30 million, I would just spend all of that 80 million on Joao Neves. I think he's worth it. I would more than happily lose Scott McTominay and Casemiro and replace him with Joao Neves. So it can be done. You know, people will say, oh, where are we getting the money from? We've just broken down where the money's going to come from. You'd get at least 30 million for McTominay. I think more. We were getting offers for 30 million in the summer when he was out of form. He's in form at the moment, in a goal scoring capacity anyway. And I think somebody would pay probably 30 to 35 million for McTominay, and you would get 40 to 50 million for Casemiro, which would then pay for Joao Neves' release clause. So the deal can be done. It's just whether Manchester United have the balls to do it and have the right people in charge, the right director of football, the right CEO to be able to put this kind of deal together. So that's what we've got to keep an eye on. Let's have a look what else we've got. Mila says, what about Fofana? 50 million. Yeah, I mean, that's another option, mate. Yusuf Fofana. I like him as well. Yeah, apparently he's worth around 50 million. Yeah, I mean, that's another option. He's a little bit older. He's in his mid-20s now. Obviously plays his football for Monaco. I don't think he's as good as Joao Neves personally, but I think I would still be happy with him, yeah. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Everybody who's just joined, please smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 21,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go and do that now quickly. It doesn't cost any money. It's completely free. And let's see how quickly we can hit 21,000 subscribers. And obviously, the more people who like the video, the more people that will join the chat. So please do like it if you haven't already. And let's get on with the rest of the show. Right, let's move over to the 300 million budget plan. Now, everybody's probably sat there thinking, great, we're going to spend all this money on players, 300 million budget. I like the sound of that. Unfortunately, that is not the case. So, as we all know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe has pledged to invest $300 million, I think it is, into Manchester United as soon as he joins the club. Great. Happy about that. That's good. But apparently this money is going to be spent on improving Carrington, sports science, data and injury prevention. So that's what this £300 million or dollars is going to be used for. I mean, Carrington definitely needs improving. Sports science, I assume, needs improving because we're behind everyone anyway. And injury prevention, I mean, that's probably the most important thing out of anything. The fact that you've literally had, I think, at one point, 10 first-team players injured this season. And even to this point now, you've got Martinez, Casemiro, Eriksen, Mason Mount, Amad Diallo, Malacia. Who else is injured? I mean, that's 6 players off the top of my head. There's probably some more that I've missed out there. You've got 6 players, first-team players, who are injured at this very moment in time. And if you go back a few weeks, you were missing Luke Shaw, Reguilon was injured. Johnny Evans is injured as well now. I mean, it's probably 7 or 8 players at the moment that are injured, first-team players who are playing regularly. And that can't keep happening, and maybe investing money into those types of things to improve that area of Manchester United. It probably is a priority, to be honest. Now, I know everybody wants new players. They want certain players gone. I think that still can happen, but I think it will be a market where Manchester United are forced to have to sell before they buy. So it might be that Donny van de Beek goes. It might be that Jadon Sancho goes. It might be that Casemiro goes and Varan goes. And then we use that money to go and buy a Todibo or a Ruben Neves or a Yusuf Fofana or someone of that caliber, At first I was a little bit like, we need to be spending money on players. We need to be investing in the team. But I think we do have players that need to be sold first. So I'm kind of glad in some ways that he's not just going to throw loads of money at United in January and probably waste it. And then in a year's time, I sit there and say, we've just wasted another 200 million. I think we need to be a little bit more tactical at this point. I think we need to get rid of players before we start buying players. We need to see people like McTominay, Sancho, Van der Beek, at least those 3, I would say. Not because I really dislike them, but just because I think we need to replace them with better players. A lot of these players have been here a long time, especially McTominay. And if you can get the 30 to 40 million for him, then I would go and get that done. But let me know what you guys think. What would be your first point of call? Imagine you're Jim Ratcliffe, right? And you're waking up this morning thinking about what your plan is for Manchester United. What would be your first priority? Let me know in the comments section. For me, it would be sorting out the mess within the team, finding out who these 50% people are who have apparently turned against Erik ten Hag. We'll talk about that in a minute. Keeping on transfer news really, really quickly before we move to managerial stuff. The headline this morning is that apparently Varan is on Al Ittihad's list for transfers in 2024. So it looks like we will see Varan and Casemiro going to Saudi at some point in 2024, whether that's in January or the summer. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Al Ittihad, obviously, another club in the Saudi league who spent ridiculous amounts of money last summer, didn't they? They got all sorts of different people. They got Fabinho, Kante. I think they got Benzema as well. Like they spent an absolute fortune last summer, didn't they? So it looks like we will see another one of our players heading for Saudi. They bought Fabinho for 46 million euros. I mean, how old's Fabinho these days? Let's have a look. I mean, that sounds like a lot of money. Fabinho's 30, the same age as Varan. So I would imagine that you'd get around the same type of money for Varan. If they paid 46 million euros for Fabinho, which is what's that in pounds? Probably 40 million pounds? Yeah, 40 million pounds they paid for Fabinho. I would be asking for the same amount of money. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Andrew says we need to spend our money well. I agree with you, mate. Mila says, where is Diallo, and if he will ever be back, what will happen to Pellistri? I don't know, mate, to be honest. I don't know what's going to happen with Pellistri and Diallo. It's just another example of us bringing in youth players and not really making anything of them, to be honest. Like, Pellistri's been here a long time. Diallo's been here a long time. They've not really had many opportunities. We've seen people like Anthony getting all the opportunities. Rashford gets all the opportunities. So, yeah, it is frustrating. Let's have a look what else we've got. Somebody says Kobe Mainu and Dan Gore are the future and need to learn and be mentored by Amrabat and Casemiro to learn the role and the position. Yeah, fair enough. What else we got? Mila says, can they take Rashford and Martial with them? Well, let's talk about players now, because the headline that broke last night, which I'll be honest with you, has made me feel very, very frustrated this morning, is that apparently This is coming out from Sky Sports saying that Erik ten Hag has reportedly lost 50% of the Manchester United dressing room. So half of the players in that squad have effectively down tools and turned against Erik ten Hag. And I just want to say this morning, okay? You can think whatever you want of the manager, okay? Oh, he's not good enough. He's, the job's too big for him, whatever. But I'm telling you now, every single one of you in this chat, I would imagine, was excited about Erik ten Hag when he joined the club. Every single one of you thought he was the right man for the job. Every single one of you thought that, he was the person to take us back to somewhere close to the top. Not immediately, but over maybe a 5-year period. He achieved more last year than I ever could have dreamed of. To finish third place, win a trophy, our first one in 6 years, get to an FA Cup final. That was beyond my wildest dreams, okay? So he clearly is a good manager. Before people start trying to say, get him out, he's rubbish. The blame needs to be put on these players. These players have thrown countless managers under the bus. They've done it so many times now, and we need to just wake up and smell the coffee, because you could say, oh, I want Zidane, I want Ancelotti, I don't know, whoever it is that you have in your mind that you want, okay? Maybe you don't even know who you want. You just want Erik ten Hag out with no future plan. If that's you, then that's fine. That's up to you. But I'm encouraging you to just realise that this cycle is just repeating over and over again, and just to realise that this is what these players do. And when you look through that squad, the McTominays, the Rashfords, who else started on the weekend? Literally 90% Martial's, like all of these people have been here for far too long, and they've thrown countless managers under the bus. There was a story that came out last night from the same source from Sky Sports saying that apparently the players don't like how strict Erik ten Hag is, and that they want him to be easier on them. It's absolutely embarrassing. It was the same with previous managers. They want to be treated like children. They want to be treated like superstars when they're not. Like when you look through that team, right? Let me just do a mic drop moment for you here now, okay? From that team that started against Newcastle on the weekend, on Saturday, where we lost, not a single one of those players has won the Premier League. Not a single one of those players has won the Champions League. Not a single one of those players has won any major international trophy, as in for for country. Not one. No Premier Leagues, no Champions Leagues, and no World Cups, no Euros, nothing. The best trophy that any of these players have won is the FA Cup and the League Cup. That's it. In their whole career. Some of them are in their 30s. Just let that sink in for a minute. An FA Cup and a League Cup is their best trophy. For them to come out and, oh, he trains too hard, I don't like this, I don't like that. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. It's not like you've got a whole team of Champions League winners there and they're all saying, you know what, I don't think this is the right guy. Literally 90% of those players. Mainu's 18, Garnacho's 18, Martial is Martial. Fernandes, I would say, is probably genuinely the only world-class player in that whole squad. Rashford thinks he's Mbappe, but he's not. McTominay should probably go and play in the Scottish League. That's his level. Dalot is a backup at best. Luke Shaw, I think, is good. Maguire should have gone to West Ham. Wan-Bissaka, I think, is good, if not a backup. Onana should have never signed. I've just broken it down for you there. We have one maybe world-class player in that whole squad, and that's Bruno Fernandes for me, and that's a maybe. And they think that they're a team of, Real Madrid players who've won 10 Champions Leagues or whatever. It's embarrassing, it is. And it just makes me frustrated. And we need to see through this. Getting rid of Erik ten Hag is going to make no difference. You're going to be stuck with these same bunch of players. We'll win games for 6 months. Then in 6 months, they won't like the new starters that they're serving in Carrington at lunchtime. I don't like the dessert that's being given out now. I used to like my apple crumble, but now they're only giving us yogurt pots. You wait for it. There'll be some ridiculous story. We don't like that we have to stay 10 minutes late for training every day to talk about our training session. They're a bunch of babies. They've won nothing. And I'm not going to throw a manager under the bus before these players go. Amin says, are you fully backing Erik ten Hag over the players? Yeah, 100%, mate. I'll be completely honest with you now, guys, all right? I have no attachment to any of these players. I don't. I think they're all a disgrace. I don't think any of them are good enough to play for Manchester United. I like Garnacho. I like Mainu. McTominay, get rid of. Onana should have never come. Maguire should have gone. Luke Shaw, I like, but is he really world class? I don't think so. Rashford, I think he's a disgrace, to be honest. I honestly don't feel any love or attachment to any of these players. I don't. You think back to the great sides, the Paul Scholeses, like I've got the shirt of here, the Ronaldos, the I mean, even people like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he knew his place at Manchester United. He was a bench player who would come on and win us games. Like, there was no disrespect. I mean, the Roy Keanes, like all of these people, I've got such a fond attachment to. I honestly have no attachment to any of these players. I don't. And I'm sick of them throwing managers under the bus. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again. I have no attachment to any of them. I genuinely wouldn't even be that upset if any of them left. Maybe Bar Garnacho. I think he's the only one that I really like. And kind of excites me. Kobe Mainoo's played one game for Manchester United. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I love Kobe Mainoo. He's played one game. Like, I want him to succeed, but I'm not going to, make out that he's my favourite player. I don't know enough about him yet. He's played one game or two games. But, like, if you genuinely feel any attachment to these players, let me know. Let's have a look. Fred says Erik ten Hag is showing weakness by being dictated by these players. Al says Erik ten Hag brought in the wrong players. Where are the press-resistant technical players? Fair enough. Daniel says, my wife wanted to get me the Manchester United away kit and asked me which name do I want. I said no name. I prefer the badge, so I get the no attachment point. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. I have no... Like, do you honestly... Yeah, someone says I liked Martinez. I like Martinez as well, mate. I do. I really like Lisandro Martinez. But from that team that started against Newcastle, can you genuinely sit there and tell me that you have an attachment to any of those players? And if you do, let me know which ones. I mean, I have no attachment to Rashford. I used to quite like him. I don't anymore. I used to quite like Martial when he came 10 years ago. I don't like him anymore. Garnacho I like. Bruno I like. Mainoo, I don't dislike him, but I don't know enough about him yet. McTominay should have gone. Dalot backup for me. Luke Shaw I like. Maguire should go. Wan-Bissaka probably is okay as a backup. Onana should never have come. Like, I don't feel any attachment to any of these players whatsoever. I don't. And I felt like this for years. It's not just, you lost 1-0 to Newcastle, so you're being salty. It's not that. I felt like this for a very, very long time. I don't feel like any of them show any determination, motivation, or seem to even know what it means to play for Manchester United. And it's frustrating. It's sad because, the teams of the great Manchester United teams of old would go out on that pitch and would do you proud, and you'd feel a sense of pride and a sense of that how much they cared about Manchester United. None of these people care. They don't. All they care about is money. All they care about is their own egos. All they care about is putting up on their Instagram and getting followers and stuff. That's why people come to Manchester United now. It's to make money and to boost their brand. That's all they do. That's it. And that's the black and white of it now. And we need to see through that. Erik ten Hag has come in. I think he's not like that. He earns, just let this sink in for a minute, right? Erik ten Hag, I think, earns a third of what Marcus Rashford earns per week. Just let that sink in. The manager... So, sorry, let me just get that right because I don't want to be misquoted. So, Erik ten Hag earns £9 million per year, okay? Marcus Rashford has just signed a contract. Yeah, he earns double what Erik ten Hag earns. Double. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. Really, really frustrating. Carl says, I like Luke Shaw. Mila says, I like Martinez and Garnacho. Yeah, I agree. Thomas says, I agree. Blame anyone but us. If I was Erik ten Hag, I would drop the lot, put younger players in. Then they would get the message. I agree. Jaden says, maybe Højlund. I mean, the thing is, right, mate, I don't dislike Højlund, but we're clutching on straws here, aren't we? We're clutching on straws. We should be able to look at our squad and think, I mean, look at Man City, right? Obviously, I'm not a Man City fan, but I would imagine that most Man City fans like all of their players because they go out and give 150% every single game, There's never anybody throwing their hands up in the air. There's never anybody throwing their toys out of the pram. Yeah. Florian says, do you think Ahmad can play in midfield with Mainoo, Amrabat and Van der Beek? No, I don't think so, mate. Maybe. Mila says, why should a good player come to United and waste their career if not only for a crazy contract? Daniel says, I love Martinez, but we never see him play. It's been a year. Yeah. Fred says, none of them excite me or get me off my seat. Enough said. Yeah, mate, they don't. They don't excite me or get me off my seat either. Jaden says, Kieran, how do you feel about David De Gea going to Newcastle? Mate, I'm gutted, to be honest. You know that I wanted to keep David De Gea. Like, yeah. I'm not the type of person who's like, oh, I was right, you were wrong. But to spend 50 million on Onana and for him to play the way he's playing when we had David De Gea, who had the golden glove for that last season, like, it was stupid. It was a stupid bit of business. I can see what they were trying to do, but what's the point in bringing in a ball-playing goalkeeper when the team in front of you can't even play that style of football. Like, it's stupid. Like, you've jumped 5 steps forwards. Kevin says, Kieran, this story from Sky could well be rubbish. Mate, it could be. Obviously, it's not 100% confirmed, but you know, there's lots and lots of other journalists coming out with this same story. Are you really surprised though? They threw Mourinho under the bus. They threw Oli under the bus. They threw Van Gaal under the bus. They threw Ralph Ragnick under the bus. Like, do you really not think that the players are trying to blame the manager now for their lack of ambition, their lack of determination? Like, I don't trust the players anymore. I don't trust them one bit. So yeah, I'm sticking with Erik ten Hag. Whether or not the Jim Ratcliffes and the rest of them will stick by him, we'll have to wait and see. Muif says, would you sell Rashford for PSG for 100 million? Yes, 100%. 100%, mate. 150% now. In the summer, I said no, but yeah, if PSG came in for Rashford again, I would sell him in a heartbeat. He'd be gone, without a shadow of a doubt. Rashford's got a lot to do to win my trust back. He has. For a local lad to put in a performance like that against Newcastle, not even to track back, to be walking around the pitch, he's lost my trust, and that's it. And it's hard to win back a person's trust. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on everything in the comment section. Let me know on your thoughts on the Casemiro and Varan potential Saudi move. Let me know what you think about Erik ten Hag reportedly losing the dressing room. Thank you so much to everyone who's joined me. I will obviously be back later on today about 6:30 p.m. UK time. Please do make sure to smash a like before you go. It really helps with the algorithms and all of that stuff. And please do subscribe if you are new. Have a lovely day, everybody, and I'll speak to you all a bit later.